Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today, an Olympian mind and body. I am proud to be speaking with my friend Michael Russi, and we will be discussing matters of great import. Greetings, Michael. How are you?
I'm good, and I have a jam-packed show tonight, and I'd like to get right to it, starting with Olympian mind, if we can.
Fantastic. The torch is in your hand.
Okay, I have a great and exciting new study that I just uncovered this past month that I want to share with the listeners. It's from the Journal of Psychoneuroimmunology. And I'm glad I was able to get that out in one sentence. But this is an exciting study, and I want to share it with all of the Olympians tonight. It says that the study strongly indicates that the mind and body are intricately connected. Through chemical messengers, when you have a thought, your brain instantly translates it into neurotransmitters, hormones, and peptides that circulate through the bloodstream and interact with cells throughout the body. Studies have shown that negative thoughts trigger stress responses, releasing hormones like cortisol, which can cause inflammation and damage cells over time. Positive thoughts and gratitude release chemicals like dopamine, we know how important that messenger is, and endorphins that reduce stress and promote healing. Chronic stress and persistent negative thinking can accelerate the shortening of telomeres. It has recently been found these are the protective caps at the end of your chromosomes, speeding up cellular aging. Optimism and mindfulness have been shown to help preserve telomere strength. And this is from a 2025 study from the Journal of Psychoneuroimmunology. I think this is very exciting on so many levels. It shows us once again the intricate connection between mind and body.
And it adds meaning to all the exercises I do with the meditation and the gratitude and the mindfulness and the affirmations. There's a mechanism where it actually does something positive for you.
Well, no question about it. And this study, again, validates all of that. I wish in my younger years I would have known all of this. I've always been fascinated with Greek mythology and the Greek philosophers of the day, and just fascinated with the mind in general. And I always felt there was something more that I learned in school, something more than I learned in the philosophy books and the history books. And now we're finding through science, if you will, that there is a field of energy. There's a intricate field of connection between the mind and the body. And I would say in metaphysics, of course, and which you are very familiar with in all of your years of study and history, but by and large, the society at large, I would say this is still relatively new. I mean, as far as what the potentials are, I'd say over the last, maybe 20 years, mainstream media has begun to explore this area of knowledge, but it's still, I think, even today, still as we speak, I don't think it's fully grasped or recognized by mainstream media or citizens at large, for that matter, in terms of what the potential is through positivity, through words of energy, words of creativity, a field of all potentiality, as it were, because we know that exists now. And coming up in my education, I was never aware that there is a field of all possibilities and it's all around us, number one. Number two, I was also not aware, science class never taught me that this field, the field of all possibilities, the atomic structure as we know it, can be impacted by our thoughts and intentions. How exciting is this? I mean, for me, the energy is overflowing in terms of what the potential is. Everybody should know these things. Everybody should meditate on these possibilities. They're real. Science is validating it, conventional science as we know it, and it's here. It's here now for all of us. All we have to do is reach out on a daily level and grasp it.
And we're taught, unfortunately, we were taught back then, I don't know if they're teaching the kids now, not to value our imagination, not to tap into fields of unlimited.
Absolutely.
Because that's what the imagination is. The imagination is taking a thought and making it solid, making it real, bringing it to life. And that's one of the most divine powers, I believe. And yet, I remember being young and being told, "Oh, your imagination's useless. Don't indulge in it. Don't stop daydreaming."
Well, everything you're saying, of course, is being validated and confirmed now by traditional science as we know it, conventional science as we know it. And this is remarkable. And I get on the same level both excited and frustrated because these creative thoughts, creative power that we have within should be taught in every house of worship, in every school. There should be a class concerning creative thought and what the potentials are. At first, it should be validated, like in terms of educating students of metaphysics and just your average students of science, validating it by the studies and showing them why it's being validated, and then teaching about intercessory energy. In Christianity, it's about intercessory prayer. I'd like to take that to another level. I call it intercessory energy. We all have it, and it's not only within, but it's all around us. And as Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. And this is coming from a man of traditional science as we know it, how right he was. The field of imagination is infinite. We all have it. We all have the infinite within us. We all have the divine within us. And there's a place, finally, there is a place that has been recognized, more or less, where spirituality and science meet. I think one of the great drawbacks in Western society, particularly in modern Western society, United States being the main one, where these areas of thought, these areas of connection, were never fully realized, even till today. You're even in medicine, they're still slow, unless you pick out a specialist in terms of holistic thinking, holistic healing, holistic creativity. You'll have to seek them out because your average physician, no matter what his specialty might be, he'll have 10 minutes with you at the most, and then it's on to something else. And with the environment that we're faced with now, of course, I believe it's getting even worse on that level because of what's coming out of Washington. Not to be political, but the truth is the truth. There's less emphasis on research in terms of mind and body, and more emphasis on get it done. How much will it cost? Can we even afford the healing and the treatment and the knowledge that should be shared with us in this area? So it's what we know, what we share as torchbearers is exciting. But for me personally, it's also very frustrating because I see mainstream society at large appears to be moving in a different direction. And that's why what we share, what you've opened up the channels for all of us to carry this torch and share with the listeners just how exciting and how the validation that comes with what we're sharing and what we're teaching.
Well, we all do that, and I'm glad to provide a platform where we can all do it together, excuse me, and individually. I believe very
So
strongly
that,
visualizing a better world. I do it every day during my meditation.
mhm,
I use the philosophical of the blue ray, which is tinged with gold and pink. Uh, the blue represents power or responsibility. It represents creativity. It represents the divine in action. The rose
mhm,
represents love, and the gold and yellow represents wisdom.
mhm,
And every day, as I meditate, I send those colors out into the world, and I see the colors healing the world. And I don't. People don't have to believe in Mount Olympus or anything, or space gods or anything. It's whatever you
mhm.
believe. But to try to do the best with what we are and what we can do, not only for ourselves and our loved ones, but for everybody.
Well, the encouraging aspect of that is when you're reaching out with this landscape of colors and energy. And could you repeat one more time with the colors that you're using and what they represent? I think everybody needs to really, including myself, really needs to absorb that.
I use the neo-theosophical color scheme. Now,
Okay.
like with any religious mythology, I'm not conventionally religious. My personal spirituality, my quest for meaning, it tends to do best with mythic images, especially the Greco-Roman. So I've
Hmm.
adopted the neo-theosophical because the Theosophists gave the New Agers the vocabulary, so it's easier to
Hmm.
communicate with neo-theosophical imagery and terminology. And
Hmm.
also, um, it is an energy that is aligned with Hercules. It's a modern manifestation.
Hmm.
The language is different from the club-wielding monster fighting muscle man of old. He still portrayed the
Hmm.
same thing, but the colors are blue, and blue is power, responsibility. It's also peace, it's tranquility, and it's also um, the color. I'm having a difficult time hearing Michael. I apologize. And it's also the color that blended with yellow and pink uh,
Hmm.
puts out power, puts out wisdom, and puts out love into the world. So I don't know what's best
Hmm.
for everybody. Sometimes I think I don't even know what's best for myself. But I
Hmm.
wish everybody the best, regardless of what they believe and where they are in their life journey or in their life's adventure.
Hmm.
For them to have peace and for them to be able to take their mind creations, the most benevolent
Hmm.
and noble ones, and make them come true.
Well, I think that's very appropriate in terms of our quest for discovery, and I think that, this leads me to another. It's in the same category, but I wanted to get your feeling on. For me, I'm very much into our multi-dimensional existence. I believe that uh, we are multi-dimensional beings, and that's what I've been teaching. I've been sharing with a small group here, just started last month, and I believe Jesus the Christ, the mythical Christ, the cosmic Christ was multi-dimensional, and I think that's one of the aspects of what he tried to teach us when he came here. And his sacrifice was, in traditional Christianity, they teach he sacrificed himself for our sins. It really wasn't that way. I think it was beyond that. I think he made the ultimate sacrifice to show us what we can expect as far as the intensity of trying to survive in this dense dimension, this dense third dimensional existence that were destined to survive or thrive in, depending on various aspects of our lives. what I wanted to ask you was, because I've always been, I've always been on the fence with this. What is your position, as general position, as a believing that we are multidimensional beings and we have the ability to cross space and time at a moment's notice? We don't take advantage of it. We don't always know how to achieve it, but it's there for us. One of my favorite metaphysical teachers, and everyone's, of course, can look her up, was by the name of Dolores Cannon. She was a past life regressionist. She was a metaphysician, and she really emphasizes the potential in all of these things. But what is your general position as far as reincarnation? Is there, I mean, I'd just love to hear where your position is on that as a general rule.
I believe that we're multidimensional, and when you look no further than our ability to dream, to demonstrate our multidimensionality. In dreams, we're sometimes ourselves, we're sometimes somebody else. Sometimes we're embodied, sometimes we have a view from a little bit further away, and sometimes we're both embodied and disembodied. But kind of look at the same time, and then switching perspective. Right. In a dream, we don't question the reality of the dream, and it's like 3D sense around, like in a 3D hologram. So our minds, our sleeping minds, are able to create this world for us to interact with other beings. And sometimes we're who we are, and sometimes we're not who we are now. Or somebody we recognize we're married to different people. We live in different places. We have different jobs. Sometimes we have different names. I've met people in the waking world who met me in dream, and they knew my dream name or one of my dream names, and they called me by it. So that's that was something that kind of reinforced the multidimensionality. Also, there are things called prophetic dreams, where sometimes you dream of something that doesn't happen until many years later. And that's happened to everyone I've spoken to. They had at least one example of that. Then there's synchronicities, where you're thinking of something and boom, there it is.
Yes.
That's happened to everybody also. And then there's what they're calling the Mandela effect. My wife and I were talking about that yesterday, about how many things we think we remember, and you can get a lot of people who remember them exactly that way, but supposedly it didn't happen. Like supposedly Darth Vader didn't say, "I'm your father," or something to that effect. And the Bernstein Bears is another famous example, and a movie called Shazam. Some people remember it, some people don't remember it, with Sinbad in the movie, or Shaquille. So there's a lot of examples of people remembering things, and you get a lot of people remembering they can refer to it, but if you look at the reality of it, it didn't happen. So that happens a lot. And one of them, I'll share it here. I don't share this very often. One of the things I do is I remember things from the edge that sometimes exist and sometimes don't exist, and sometimes exist but modified. And for me, it's Edgar Cayce's prediction about Atlantis. I found that if you look at that fairly often, sometimes it never happened and it was discredited. It happened and it was celebrated, or something rose, but it wasn't the temple like he predicted, but it still demonstrated that his psychic gift was powerful. And I remember looking at magazines in Greece that showed you the risen temple, and they had articles about it. And here in America, it never happened, and it discredited him. So there are a lot of things. If you look at the edges, like looking at where a magician doesn't want you to look at what his other hand is doing. Our reality is to have another hand where the magician can do his tricks. And so I believe we have proof. And I remember several past lives, or snippets of past lives. I don't remember detailed things. I seem to remember doing things, but like I don't think in my head, my name is Hercules Invictus, my address is blah, 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 I was born on blah, blah, blah. You know, in your head, those facts don't swim around. So I remember what I looked like, I remember what I was doing, I remember how it felt, I remember the things that were going through my mind, but not who I was in terms of identity for the most part. And there's only a couple where I remember the name and then researched the name and found that it's very interesting historical links. But yes, I believe that consciousness survives this state of existence into others, and that time doesn't work the way we think it works, because there are plenty of examples of it being violated, and that everything is connected in ways we don't quite understand yet, despite our theories.
So you do remember certain details of past life, am I correct?
Yes. Yes, I remember one very detailed in ancient Egypt during the pre-dynastic times. I remember Persia during some war at some point in a mountain pass. I remember riding a horse and getting shot off a horse. I remember snippets. I remember being a dirt farmer. I felt very peaceful during that life.
Really?
Yeah. It must have been the way that people looked. It was Northern European, Scandinavian, like everyone had straw, blonde, and black complexion.
Well, I felt very strongly ever since I was a youth. There was just such a strong calling in my life. Specifically, I mean, I'm on the fence with reincarnation for a variety of reasons. I think I hope that there's a choice to be made there. I personally, on a personal level, I don't know that I'd want to be reincarnated to another identity. I think there's no question that there's an afterlife of that. I'm more than certain, because I've had too many experiences that, by the laws of physics as we know it, I could not explain. And it's always fascinating to me when I sit here alone at night and I'm just doing my research, and I think about the experiences I've had that I never called in, never called for, didn't pray for, that just happened to me. And it's very funny, because now, I mean, in my spiritual moments, my spiritual time, and my research time, I do call for spirit visit and spirit survival, but I don't feel like I'm getting anything. However, there have been some synchronicities that have taken place recently that I'll tell you about in a few minutes, but I'm on the fence with reincarnation. I don't know that I'd want to necessarily. I don't know if you have a choice. I would think that you probably do, but I could be wrong. But when I read about Edgar Cayce, his reincarnation concepts and experiences, I've always been a little bit uncomfortable with it. I would rather be me on the other side with all of my faults and shortcomings. So I don't know if I'd want to be me on the other side and experiencing all of the wonderful dimensional landscapes that might exist. So I don't know if you've ever looked at it that way, but I don't know that I'd want to be another identity, number one. Number two, I don't know that I'd have a choice or not. I don't know that I'd have a choice.
The way I did write about recently in the book that I contributed to, that was based on my podcast. The book I published on theurgy, that basically I don't believe that this is. I've never felt very connected with here and now. I mean, I'm here and it's now. I don't believe I'm in an illusion, except in a psychological sense, where you see things through whatever lens you've been conditioned or you've been traumatized into having. But I believe that the real me is somewhere else and is there, and it can't leave there. It's not a bad place.
Excellent.
It seems like a good place. But part of me is in heaven, never left heaven, doesn't need to return to heaven, doesn't need to earn its way into heaven. It's from heaven. It is of heaven. It's here now. And I believe not just me, but I believe that everybody is that. So if I'm special, then everybody's special in that way. And for whatever reason, I seem to be tuned into some of the other channels that are playing at the same time. Like with the Ghost, I seem to have a haunted life. And I've been able to see ghosts my entire life, and not just human ghosts, but animal ghosts and ghosts of creatures that I don't think have walked the earth, or if they did, it was a very long time ago before we had records of them. And shining, luminous beings and so forth. Um, but I believe that they're also from another like dimension that's part of this one. And I believe time doesn't operate the way we think it does.
Mhm.
And I would point to the
So
same. Uh,
this has been very frequent with you. Then you've really experienced this on multiple occasions.
yeah, my most published case, if not the most spectacular, but it's the one I've shared the most, is my cat. We have one cat now. Her name is Ghost. And the reason
Hmm.
her name is Ghost was because she started out as a ghost. When we lived in Pennsylvania, one of the
Hmm.
ghosts we had there was a cat, and it looked like a Siamese. And you could feel her rubbing against your legs. And we had other cats. But
Hmm.
all the cats would be sitting on the bed, and then you'd feel an invisible cat jump on the bed and walk around or rub against your feet as you got to go to the bathroom. And visitors we had, both people who were there for a little while or people who stayed over, would ask about the Siamese cat. And we'd say we didn't have the Siamese cat, not a living one anyway, it's a ghost. So because
Well,
spirits can take on any shape, it took me a good year
mhm.
plus a few months to accept that this was indeed a cat and not something pretending to be a cat. But one of our
Hmm.
cats got pregnant then and gave birth to kittens. And there was one kitten that looked Siamese, even though none of the other ones looked Siamese. And when I called out Ghost, the kitten, before it learned to walk, would come towards my voice. And she never
Hmm.
behaved like a kitten, and she never behaved like a cat. Now she's 20 years old. She's still with us. But that's what I mean. For like a year and a half, I and other people also experienced her as a non-physical entity. And
Hmm.
living in Poconos in the mountains, um, there were songs that little kids would sing at like 2, 3 in the morning. So even during blizzards, and there were no kids. So we thought the first time we heard it because the Poconos is a summer location. The kids had a house, and they must have
Hmm.
come over, and the kids are staying up late playing or whatever they're doing, singing. But then when the singing would happen during blizzards, and there too, people would come and stay over, would ask about the kids singing in the middle of the night, and we could find no indications to why that would happen. There were no newspaper stories from years ago about kids getting drowned or murdered or otherwise losing their life. But there, it was
Hmm.
mostly singing in the middle of the night throughout the year.
That's fascinating. That's amazing. It always amazes me how, and I want to know so much about people like yourself who have had very obvious experiences with the other side, multidimensional experiences, if you will, the afterlife, that curtain that parts at various times in our lives, if we're lucky. Uh, I'm an A-type personality, so I'm always been the kind of guy I either want to fix it or I want to know about it. If someone is, as an example, what you've just shared with all of us, if someone has had those uh, multifaceted experiences in terms of other dimensions in the afterlife, I want to know how you felt. I want to know, is it some emotion that you generate that cause you to have multiple experiences the way you evidently have had. So, like, I want to know: is there a key? Is there a secret? I think my problem, on a personal level, is that many times I'm too stressed. In other words, I want to try too hard. I want to force it in. I want to force that experience. I want it, and I want it now. And I have to really work on myself, and I do every day. Is that, well, that's the possible feeling, the worst possible attitude you can have when it comes to accessing the other side. You must be relaxed. Must be in more of a meditative state, and that's how channels are opened up, and your channels are open to receive. The worst thing you can do is let anxiety, stress, or tension into the game, because just as I presented in terms of healing, the mind-body connection, we know that stress and anxiety only produces cortisol and all of the harmful chemicals that the body would have to work through, but it just closes the doors as opposed to opening them. So that's, again, I think personality is a factor too, and that will either hinder you or open up the pathways to receive from the other side, if you will.
Yeah, I don't think of anything I've ever done to have this happen in my life, but sometimes it gets pretty like spectacular or spooky too. I remember one time I was invited, I think it was in Lodi or Barfield or somewhere around there. This young lady was having haunting. She didn't want to talk about it. It was bugging her out. So she wanted to see, what I felt about it. So I stayed over, and around 2, 3 in the morning, it seems to be a magical time for things like this happening. I heard baying dogs, and they look like racing hounds. So all of a sudden, racing hounds materialized. There was a woman wearing white, and she had blonde hair, and you couldn't see her face. She was like hiding her face, and she was walking through the apartment. And the dogs were like jumping on her and going around her and stuff like that. And then they all walked through the front wall and disappeared. So the next
Wow.
she got up, I explained what I saw, and she said, "Yeah, that's what she would see sometimes." And she'd get up to go to the bathroom, and there'd be like this woman in white, maybe like wearing a bridal dress or something. The world was like dogs, and so that's a common folklore myth in Europe and here too in the United States. The woman in white who's sometimes accompanied by the dogs. I was not able to find any folklore that would put her in New Jersey in that particular area, but there she was with her dogs. And another time I was asked to sit in the haunted house, and I sat there all night. And again, I can be very disrespectful sometimes too. So we had all these like knocks, and we had the furniture like noises moving over and slamming windows. And yeah, I went down, and nothing is moving, nothing is slamming. It's just the noises of these things happening. So, and the knockings on the wall, and I said very disrespectfully, "I've seen all this. Can you do something I haven't seen?" And it did get kind of spooky. There was something that sounded like a little girl sing-song talking, and it turned out to be like a middle-aged woman wearing like Victorian outfits. Then there was these two men dressed like a lumberjack shirt, and they were talking, and it was emphatic talking, but I couldn't make out any of the words that they were uttering. And then there was like this energy, and it tied into where they were showing me the haunted ones. I was upstairs where they were sleeping, so I couldn't be there while they were sleeping. But the same place, the floor beneath it, on like the ground level, and then down in the basement, it was like a line going through where all these experiences were happening. So the next day, I explained to them what I saw and where I saw it, and they became more scared of me than the haunting, because you don't expect people to be able to pick up these things.
I think that, again, I think that some of us have to work at opening up the pathways to receive, and I know I'm one of them. I have to get myself in that zone. What fascinates me, and I have no explanation for it, is what I have experienced over the last, 3 years, I would imagine, in terms of ghostly events that just happened, just pure happenstance. I can't explain it. I wasn't calling for it, but I experienced a ghostly voice. I was home. Karen and I where we used to live in Karen's house. I was on the second floor. It was a Saturday afternoon. No one was home but me, and it was a sunny summer day. And I'm in the kitchen. I don't know what I was doing at the time, And all of a sudden, I hear very clearly a male voice. And it was like a mumbling, a blah, 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 something like that. Very clear, blah, 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 almost like it was laughing at me. So I looked around. I went to the windows first. I want to say, I looked out in the yard. There's nothing going on. There's no one around. I heard it a second time. It was almost, and it sounded like it was coming from the microwave, oddly enough. Yeah. And it was, I'll try to duplicate it. It was very clear, very clear. There could be no mistake. And I'm going, hello? Hello? Nothing, nothing. That was one of my mystical experiences. The second mystical experience was we had a wonderful dog. This is before Scruffy, by the name of Onyx. He was a Siberian Husky, wonderful dog. We had adopted him, and he was one of the treasures in our lives. I had taken him for a walk. As I'm walking him up the stairs, because we lived on the second floor at the time, I see the door, which was open. I see it visually slam shut. I mean, it slammed like someone was pushing it, kicking it. So I stood at the top of the stairs for a minute, and I see this. And I walked into the kitchen, and Karen was in the kitchen cooking. I said, so even though I knew it wasn't her, I asked her anyway. I said, did you just slam that? She said, no, I'm in the kitchen. I said, you wouldn't believe this. I saw the door visually slam shut. And this was my second, mystical experience, if you will. No explanation. And then Karen had told me, she said, I'm going to tell you something. She said, she said, one day, she said, where her daughter used to have her bedroom in the attic. One day she saw what appeared to be like a Quaker, a man he had the hat on, the black hat on, dressed in all black, but with white gloves. She said, and I never told Carrie this. Carrie was the name of her daughter at the time. It reached out, and she saw him, couldn't make out the details of his expression, his face, and he had the white glove was just like halfway out, like holding the door. She said, I never told Carrie, she said, I didn't want to spook her. So evidently there were mystical experiences in that house. But that was the second mystical experience that I didn't experience myself, but Karen told me about. And there were other things, too, that beyond explanation, that till this day I can't share. And then, of course, my third mystical experience personally was about, I'd say, approximately, I'm guessing now, about 3 days after I had to put Scruffy down. I was lying on my side in the mattress. I was in the basement at the time getting ready to move. And I very clearly experienced a pressing on the back of my neck by the collarbone. 4 consecutive times it pressed against the bone, the collarbone. And I never, as if he was pressing his nose against my neck. Very clear. I've never experienced anything like that before or since. Never. I never turned around. I knew it was him. I just instinctively knew it was him. He had come, whether it was to say goodbye or to visit me. And since that time, of course, my antennas have been up. I'd give anything to experience a visitation like that again. I knew it was him. You know when you know something so instinctively, and it was like 4 consecutive times, as if somebody had taken their thumb and pressed 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that's what it was like, and I knew it was him. I knew it was his energy came to visit me, and I was so certain of it. So there were things, and synchronicity, from a synchronicity standpoint, there have been other things. There have been other things that I can't explain. Something happened recently concerning a memory, if you will. I was going through items, and I was feeling a bit emotional over my time with Karen. And we had gone to see, thanks to Karen, because if you leave it to me, it's lucky you'll get me out of the house. But she had bought tickets for me to see my all-time favorite singer, B.J. Thomas, who had passed away in 2021 along with Karen and everything else, but she had bought tickets for me to go and see him. And I did, and it was in the Poconos resorts, and I wasn't disappointed. It was great. In fact, I was from the age of 17 to right into my 70s. I was just a diehard fan of his. And I was thinking about it. And lo and behold, I went into my safety box where I have all my tax papers. And all of a sudden, as if she had led me, there I find a picture. I had put it in a plastic bag. I had no idea what I did with it. And there it is. I had taken a picture of B.J. Thomas and Karen together after the show. And there it was, and I have it on my altar, right now. And there was no way I was looking for it. I didn't know what I did with it. I wasn't expecting to find it. There it is in plastic, B.J. Thomas and Karen Fitzpatrick together, and I evidently must have taken the picture. Now, that's a little bit more than just coincidence.
Right.
Something had guided me there, and it was incredible. And I talked to Karen in my prayer work, and I said, thank you for leading me to that, because I'm glad I found it, and it's something I'll always keep with me. But these are experiences that you really can't explain, you know.
Right. Yeah, those are meaningful ones. That's great. I'm glad you had that synchronicity.
Yeah, I was thrilled. I was thrilled. And I don't know if you're familiar with him as a singer. It's probably before your time, I would think. But he had a lot of hit records. He had just an outstanding voice. And I was I just related to him, not only as a singer, but the way he carried himself. So it was, I was a fan on so many levels. And to find that photo, because as we speak in my storage unit, I have so many metaphysical books and books on mind power and what have you that are still there that I have not retrieved yet from my storage unit, if you will. But these are experiences you don't easily dismiss.
No, definitely not. Lately, I've been having synchronicities around the character of Conan the Barbarian.
Have you?
And I'm recalling incidents in my life tied to my being a fan of Conan the Barbarian, and to bring back memories that are useful to me now as I went through the winter of my years.
Mm-hmm. So they're having an impact on you.
Well, yeah, they're having an impact on me, and I'm remembering like how I first discovered Conan, how I first got interested in the character, why I got interested in the character, the different forms the character's taken, different things that were said about Conan or during my life by other people, and my television show where I was based on Conan the Barbarian to some very great extent. And
I did see some scenes of that, by the way. I don't know how I found it, but I saw some scenes of you with, and you looked pretty. You look like Conan yourself in that character. But I did see some scenes of that. I managed to find it on the internet. I imagine I'm still able to do so. I'm sure they're there.
yeah, some of them are there. The whole show was there, and I had the whole show in a plastic bin. But that really big storm we had like in the last decade, that wiped out everything. It got the whole thing full of water, so all those tapes full of water. We salvaged some discs, but the tapes got filled with uh, filled with mud and all sorts of other stuff. So that's now among the lost pieces of my life, like the podcast when Block Talk Radio all got erased. So there goes a few years and talking to people. But I take it philosophically because we're all dust in the wind, as the song says, and everything, all the memories eventually disappear. It's like castle in the sand. I'm not too upset by it.
Well, I'm glad. It's good that you're on that level because I'm at the age now, being just turning 74, and I know you've just had a birthday. At 74, it's really a surreal experience. Because I never thought about how I would feel about life when I was 17 if I made it to 74.
Yeah.
And here I am. I mean, can you relate to what I'm saying? I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I can, because as you can see, my mind is not as sharp as it was even last year.
Hmm.
I find it a little bit difficult to articulate or to remember. Uh, as you can
Hmm.
see, I just called you your name and then I forgot your name like a second later and then I remembered your name. So that's very frustrating. Um,
Yeah.
but I remember sometimes what it feels like. It felt like to be like 14 and 17 and 23 and
Hmm.
it just seemed like you're going to live forever. And then when you
It's
get older, you realize that you're not.
it's really a surreal experience, isn't
Yeah,
it? I mean, it's a cosmic experience unto itself, because you're saying, "Gee, how should I be looking at life now? I'm old. I'm an
yeah,
old guy." It's really it's mystical in some ways.
yeah. It is mystical, and again, I take it in stride. I still do the weights and still take supplements and still
Hmm.
try to eat right. But now a lot of my decision as to what I do are geared towards type 2 diabetes, keep my blood sugar low, keeping my
Hmm.
Parkinson's manageable. So fortunately, some people believe that Parkinson's, you got to exercise all the time and meditate and do things that I love doing. So now I can,
Hmm.
for my heart's content, it's like, hey, I'm doing it for my therapy. And instead of I really love doing this, I'm going to do it more. But I worked out twice already today, and I might work out one more time before bed. And I meditated
That's great.
twice, and I do gratitude and affirmations while I meditate. I do different things. I do mindfulness. I do um, deep relaxation, deep breathing. I do affirmations. I do visualizations. I formulate my blessing for the day that I post on Facebook. I
Mhm.
sometimes visualize myself with the place of blue light that Hercules is the Elohim of, according to the Neo-Theosophists, and I fill myself with the blue energy, and then I send it, and I send the gold energy, and I send the pink energy of love and wisdom going out there into the world as well. Sometimes I'll include the other Olympians, like the Olympians of the day. Like Sunday's the sun, and that's Hercules. Monday's the moon, and that's Athena. Tuesday is Aries or Mars. Wednesday is Hermes or Mercury. Thursday is Jupiter or Zeus. Friday is Aphrodite or Venus. And Saturday is Saturn. And that's how it's been since
Well,
ancient times. So I use the fact that the ancients believed the planets were the gods wandering around in the sky to fill my day full of the Olympian heaven. And
I love all of your posts, and the artwork that you're
thanks.
sharing with us are just so inspiring. So I mean, I love what you're doing, but please don't stop, because I see them all, and for me, it energizes my spirit and takes me to that other dimensional level of creativity with what you're doing. So I think those of us who are torchbearers and who explore the invisible world, if you will, the different dimensional layers that we emanate from and we have access to. I think we need people like this to bring that energy, all of those energies, to fruition in terms of who we really are, who we really are. And I mean, I think that the most powerful forces on in this dimension, if you think about it, are the invisible ones.
Yes.
The most powerful forces in this dimension are invisible. Gravity, electricity, the atomic structure as we know it. We know now the field of all possibilities is all around us. You can go on the internet and ask your questions and explore it for yourselves and see that, yeah, that field is available to us at all times. Isn't that exciting? Why wasn't I taught this when I was going to school back in the 1950s? Nobody showed me this. They certainly didn't teach these possibilities in church, in the house of worship. I never knew of it until decades later when I discovered New Thought and how we are connected with the atomic field. And I know Charles Fillmore in Unity and New Thought, he taught about how we are atomic, and we can think and do all things, recognizing our atomic structure and how it's connected spiritually to us. Really fascinating. But when I was growing up, you were never taught this. Science was here and religion was here, and that space will never be met. That valley in between will never be met. And now we know how untrue that is and was. I have some research I'd like to share, if I can, briefly.
Sure, of course. We have 10 minutes. Michael, are you free this week? I might have a slot on Thursday or Saturday.
I should be. Yes, I should be.
Yeah, I read and watched what you sent me about the Boja ball or the Boja sphere.
Yes, fascinating.
So I figured we could do a show based on that. And if you want to invite the new group, the UFO group that you've gotten together, we'll use this room since you find it easy to get into this room and have the show here.
All right, I'd be very pleased to do that. And yeah, keep me updated on what day that might be.
I'll know as soon as we finish the show. You'll have it by tonight, the day that it is.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Hopefully that'll work for us. I wanted to share with you some new research on neurodegenerative diseases and the mitochondria.
Oh, great!
Because I think this is very important information. This is fresh information as well, and I want to share it because, ironically, Parkinson's disease in particular, along with various levels of dementia, are really increasing among the populace. That's no secret. So I think this information is vitally important. And recent breakthroughs show that stimulating the mitochondria of the cell, which is the brain's energy generators, can indeed fight neurodegenerative diseases. Research indicates there is a causal link between faulty mitochondria and cognitive decline. Research has shown that the recharging of these cellular energies can activate and even reverse loss of motor deficiencies. Recent studies have shown that the mitochondrial dysfunction is not just a secondary symptom of diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, but may be a primary cause. That's really fascinating. And you're not going to hear this information from your conventional physician, I doubt it. Supplements that stimulate the mitochondria. Let's start with CoQ10, an essential nutrient that drives the production of ATP, which is the energy core within the mitochondria, by repairing age-related mitochondrial decline and neutralizing oxidative stress. And here we go again with oxidative stress, which seems to play a role in most of our degenerative processes, especially as we get older. CoQ10 improves organ performance and is widely researched for its potential to support for overall longevity. Found in every cell in the body, there's also an antioxidant protection, a feature here. It neutralizes free radicals directly inside the mitochondria, protecting vital DNA and protein from oxidative damage. Combating age-related decline. The body's natural CoQ10 production declines with age. CoQ10 appears to be deficient in terms of Parkinson's disease, and has become the second most common age-related disorder in the world, like Alzheimer's.
Right.
It is result basically from oxidative stress triggering production of abnormal inflammatory protein. The protein is called, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, alpha-synuclein, SYNUCLEIN, which damages neurons in the regions of the brain that control motor function as well as cognitive decline. Unlike current conventional treatments, which only control symptoms, CoQ10 seems to slow the progress of the disease itself. They're specifically talking about Parkinson's right now. CoQ10 dramatic improvements seen with doses between 300 and 1,200 milligrams per day. L-carnitine, secondly. L-carnitine has been shown to be vital for mitochondrial health. Its primary role is to act as a transport shuttle carrying long-chain fatty acids across the mitochondria membranes so they can be oxidized and converted into cellular energy, also known as ATP. Key ways L-carnitine support the mitochondria. The health, mitochondrial health, include energy production and its fuels, which reduce free radical activity in both the heart and the brain. So L-carnitine also plays a role. I would say, reviewing these studies, I would definitely, and of course we say this is researchers only. We're not doctors. We're not physicians.
Right.
But based on our research, I would say anyone concerned with neurocognitive decline should make sure that they're getting the right doses of both. Alpha lipoic acid also plays a role here, but right now we're just addressing CoQ10 and L-carnitine. I would make sure that we're getting sufficient amounts of CoQ10 and L-carnitine. In fact, and this is just speaking for me personally, I would supplement twice a day. If I was dealing with a neurodegenerative condition or I was concerned with its challenges, I would go twice a day based on this research that I just shared. So I want to put this out here so everybody can do their own research and meditate on the possibilities that CoQ10 and L-carnitine specifically can bring to our whole body health. It's not only the brain, it may contribute tremendously to whole body wellness, functional medicine, functional holistic health, if to put it another way. So I think this is very exciting research, and it's something everybody should know and should pursue on their own, based on what I've shared this evening.
I take all of those. I take CoQ10. I can't find the bottle now. Look at the dosage. I'll take L-carnitine, 500 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
And I take L-arginine.
That also plays a role in the production of ATP.
The other one
that also plays a role. In fact, I think the right pronunciation, it's been a while since I've done it, I think it's called adenine triphosphate. I think that's the terminology for ATP. But yes, arginine also plays a positive role in mitochondrial vitality. But what we're talking about here is a whole body vitality. Right. And it's not, and not every holistic, not every holistic teacher, and I've found this even in other research as well, we'll share for another time, is sharing this. But this is core, this is key to overall health. So I would definitely focus on CoQ10, L-carnitine. In our next get-together, we can talk about arginine and alpha lipoic acid to contribute to overall brain health and vitality, as well as whole body vitality.
That sounds awesome, and I will find all the other bottles when you write down the dosages for you. I'm taking basically one pill a day for now, but if you suggest increase them, I will try and increase them.
I definitely would. I would map out maybe a twice a day program. Again, we have our regular antioxidants and nutrients that we take. We have our regular program. Then we have what we call target nutrients. And these are target nutrients. In other words, we're taking them for overall body wellness, but we're also using them specifically to target certain challenges that we may be experiencing.
And also creatine monohydrate, I'm taking that daily also.
That's also a valuable nutrient, absolutely.
Okay, great. Next time we will focus on that. How can people find you? How can they learn more about you? How can they get involved with all the wonderful things you're doing?
Well, they can write to me with any health condition and that they're concerned about, that they're dealing with. Again, I'm not a physician. I'm just a researcher, but I could share my concepts with them that may contribute on a forward level to improving their health. They can write to me at 135 Hazel Street, apartment 7E in Clifton, New Jersey. My zip is 07011. I also do energy work and intercessory energy work, if you will, prayer work. And that's been very exciting as well. They can write to me for any challenge they may have at the same address. I will do energy work, I will do light work, and I will write them back.
Thank you, Michael. I'm blessed to know you, and I'm blessed that we're friends and that we share information. I wish you great success in all your endeavors, and I'm looking forward to talking to you later this week.
Thank you for the exciting pathways that you've opened for all of us. And there are no words in terms of the gift you've given to us over the years. So I thank you for that.
Thank you for your kind words. Have a wonderful evening, Michael, and have a wonderful evening, everyone else.
Good night to all the torchbearers.
Good night.